Welcome, everybody. Happy Monday. Hope everyone had a great weekend.
Happy Monday, everyone.
Gerardo, welcome. We're opening it up just a minute early here to give everyone a chance to come in, get settled. We're going to get started in a few minutes with our host, Richard Krugel. We do have a special guest in the house. Some of you may recognize him from last week. Welcome, Jarrell. It's good to see you. Just giving everybody a chance to get in, get settled before we get started here today at noon Eastern for today's edition of Profits at Noon. While we hang out, while we wait, why don't you guys fire away in the chat if you can hear us, if you can see us. And I'd also be interested to know maybe a quick survey this weekend. Who went out? Who stayed in? I'll cast the first vote. I stayed in.
I stayed in as well.
Look at us, not getting into any trouble. I like it.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned to you I was PC shopping, however, so I got into plenty of trouble from the wallet's perspective. But fortunately, all from the comfort of my home.
Well, it's necessary, I suppose, right?
Eugene, welcome. Yeah, every so often it is necessary. We had a few sessions last week where the PC just was giving me some grief to get these sessions going as I attach more and more peripherals, more hardware. But yeah, welcome, guys. So Richard and I just discussing our weekends. Hope you guys had a great weekend. We are going to get started in just a second here. Looks like we have a few people trickling in. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Happy Monday. This is the Monday edition of Profits at Noon. Welcome. I am your co-host, Nathan. Co-hosting these sessions with me is Richard Krugel, our very own expert. I have been watching this guy trade for a little over 5 years now, and it's barely a session goes by where I don't learn something new. So he's got a lot to show you in just a few minutes here, guys. We are going to get started. Awesome. Well, guys, this is our new weekly live event. Some of you are new to it. Some of you are not. We see some familiar faces. Welcome back. This is Profits at Noon. This is our new weekly live event from Ninjacators, where we will show you the levels we are stalking for entry and steer you clear of the market traps and news bombs that are waiting. So this means in addition to all the cool live analysis you're about to see and all these levels you can copy and these trades you can stalk, you get to stay with us and see these trades in action. You get to see the outcome. This isn't just speculation into the ether. We follow up on everything that is covered in these sessions. I do encourage you to go back and watch prior sessions as well up on our YouTube channel. So one quick note for you guys as well. You may have heard me mention last week, our Levels to Lock newsletter is coming soon. We will have some updates later this week for you guys, and we hope to have that available to you and in your hands very soon. These Levels to Lock newsletters will accompany these sessions. They'll cover all of the levels that Richard is about to show you, and you'll be able to check in before we even get started here. So Richard usually has those updates out about 5 a.m. So by the time you get into these sessions, you'll be fully equipped and prepared. So lots coming on that front. And then I also do want to quickly mention we have our featured guest is returning this week. Tony Edwards of Trader Smarts is in the house. He's got another new trade set up to show us, and he is going to show off some of his software as well as a very cool, very exclusive trial for you guys. So stick around to see Tony from Trader Smarts after this. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pass the reins to Richard Krugel, and he's going to get us started with today's analysis. I will circle back and join you guys before Tony comes in, and we'll also do some Q&A before we wrap. So Richard, sir, I bow.
Thank you very much, Nathan, as always, and welcome everyone. Happy Monday from my side as well. All right, before we do the analysis part of today's session, just a quick reminder that all information in today's session is provided for educational purposes only. It's not an offer or recommendation to trade future stocks, options, or Forex. All right, let's jump straight into the charts. I think it was last week, obviously, not yesterday. Yesterday was Sunday. That I was saying I'm still waiting for that correction or proposed correction to end. We've had this zone over here for quite some time, a bit of confluence between market geometry, some of the profits to lock levels that we were looking at. Price did undershoot that area a little bit and boom, straight back to the upside. I think it was 12 noon last week, Thursday when we had a last session for the week. Price finally making it above this little line over here. You can see that I've been showing you guys for, I think, about a couple of weeks now. I've been saying that if we get a close above that, that potentially mean that this entire, well, hopefully a correction has ended. It's been a pretty spectacular move back to the upside. Again, if you guys are new to the sessions, these lines that you're seeing here on my chart, the blue ones on the top, as well as the sort of orangey one and these red ones on the bottom, are basically pivot levels. But also very importantly, we have these sort of light brown, what we call projected range highs, and as well as projected range lows and deviations of those levels as well. Now, these are going to be mentioned in that levels to lock newsletter that will be going out about 20-15 minutes prior to market open. I've actually filled in one today just to see if, you know, the bosses at B are happy with what we're doing there. Like Nathan mentioned, we're going to have the newsletter hopefully ready by the end of this week, hopefully start of next week. I'm not making any promises there just yet. They are putting the final touches in there. But typically what these levels are meant to do is also, well, besides the levels, I give you a bit of a, let's say, game plan for the ES, the NQ, the YM, Russell, gold, and crude oil. These levels that I'm looking at and expecting where price might move towards, etc., etc. So yeah, sort of have, let's say, game plan from my perspective as soon as the trading days for the guys in the US starts, right? And then we'll have the profit to lock live session, which you're viewing right now, and see how those levels played out, where price is in relation to those levels, and then maybe give you a bit of an afternoon sort of game plan for the ES and the NQ. Anyway, very strong move back to the upside. Like I mentioned, I've been treating this decline here as potentially corrective in nature, the one that started in the beginning of Feb. I've also had this pitchfork sloping down to the downside. Now, that update I wrote a little bit earlier was about 7:15 a.m. in the morning. Eastern Standard Time was saying I was going to wait for a break above 40.62 with price potentially reaching R1, which is at 40.79. Now you'll see that the same pitchfork that I've used last week, we got another line running down here. I call these warning lines. Now, they also typically act as strong, in this case, potentially resistance with a move back to the upside. And also something very interesting, if I would just go to properties, I've drawn in another pitchfork. I just did not have it on there to save you guys all the clutter here. We used the 3 prominent anchor points prior to this move to the upside. We got a bit of confluence here. See, price just hit that upper median line, this green one sloping to the upside. We got that R1 there as well. And we also have this downward sloping pitchfork, that red line over there. So a bit of confluence from different angles, as well as that R1. So I've been thinking, you know, potentially going to run into resistance at some time, thinking that this potentially could be a wave 1, potentially a correction, and then get another strong move to the upside. Potentially taking out these highs that were set in the beginning of Feb. All right, so that is the plan for now. I'm just a bit wary on the bullish side. I think price already hit the targets that I was sort of thinking for today. Again, R1 at 40.79, and as well as these confluence areas from the median lines that I've just shown you. So could potentially run into resistance again. If we do get some sort of decline over the next coming days, I'm going to treat that as corrective in nature. We can then obviously potentially look at lower down targets, fading the market, in this case fading it, because I'm thinking it's just going to be a correction, and I'll obviously then mention those projected ranges for you guys. So that's the ES. Obviously same thing on the NQ, very strong move to the upside. Price opened above the 2-year days pivot point at 12,221. Price already reached the R1 at 12,431 and almost making it to our projected range high at 12,521.5, and just slightly above that we get R2 at 12,538. So just looking at where the ES is currently trading, sort of struggling to stay above that R1 again, all that areas of resistance to the upside. I'm not sure if the NQ would actually reach that. So now we do also have Fed Chair Powell speaking, I think tomorrow, is it? Or the weekday after, testifying 2 days in a row, as well as the job numbers on Friday. So that potentially be a volatile sort of time period for the indices, potentially gold as well, perhaps crude oil. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. Typically, markets, I wouldn't say typically, but quite a lot, you get sort of ranging markets heading into those news events, or when anything's got to do with inflation these days. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. Obviously, we're going to be back on Wednesday and Thursday, see how we're going to navigate these things. But already pretty strong moves during the, well, start of this week, right? On the ES and the NQ. Same thing on the YM. Also had a target at R1 today, 33,576. Price nearly reached that, made a high at, what are we at so far? 33,573. So about 3 ticks away from R1. Don't know if it's got the legs to make it to R2. Again, if we're going to see resistance step in on the ES, potentially at first wave to the upside, we can potentially see also the declines or corrective waves on the NQ and the YM as well. Then we got the Russell, weaker than the ES and the NQ and the YM. Price already sort of tested the pivot point. It was like 4 hours early prior to this current candle. Again, looking at a 4-hour time frame, that pivot point was at 1,921.7, and looks like price is now heading towards S1 1,908. We also got a rejected range low at 1,905. Now, those that are new to these sessions, these projected ranges are basically a proprietary tool we have here at Ninjacators, and it is basically based on volatility from the price days range. In this case would be Friday's trading range. So yeah, RTY or the Russell 2000 obviously way more weaker than the other markets we looked at. ES, NQYM obviously not weak at all. So yeah, potentially could see a move to 1,908. If we do get a close below this level on the current 4-hour candle, or just below the pivot point, then watch out for a break of wherever that candle closes of that low, and then potentially see those targets hit at S1 and at projected range low as well. All right, gold. Gold, similar thing. I've had these pitchforks on here for a while, just simply because they've been working so well, been working as resistance, and when was this last week as well? I was expecting that we might see a corrective move like that. Didn't happen. Gold was just too strong. Also busted it up. Went straight above that center median line, tested a little bit, and since I think it reached these, this was Fridays, which we obviously didn't have a session, but these projected ranges been hit on Friday. Price been knocked sideways. You can see that it's been testing this median line over here, this dash one, and potentially going to see a sideways move. I'm still thinking that gold, similar to the ES, might get a little bit of a deeper retracement at some time. But again, we'll have to just see how things stand by Wednesday when we resume our next profits at noon session. So today's pivot point is at 1,856.4. We do get a close below that. Again, price sort of been respecting these median lines really well. I think we get a close below this median line, which is currently today at 1,853 plus minus, or maybe even a break below the prior candles low at 1,853. Then we might see a move towards S1 at 1,848.4. Right, so same thing as the ES. I'm thinking or expecting potential reversals. Now I'm just going to treat them as corrective in nature, not i.e. a change in trend. All right, and that brings us to crude oil. Now, here I've been completely sidelined, completely wrong. I think we talked about this last week, Thursday. I even talked about this on Wednesday. I thought we had a potential that this is corrective in nature in the bigger picture. I'm still thinking that, but something else is going on here. That we potentially had an ABCX, another A, a B, and a C. And when was it last week? Thursday, we started seeing this very strong decline, and it really looked like this was the end of a corrective move. Now, obviously, price explored all the way down here, and I think, boom, straight back to the upside. So we're getting a zigzaggy, quite volatile behavior to the upside. Price sort of opened above the pivot point today at 78.53. It tested it, found support at it, and it's currently heading towards the projected range high at 80.65. Now, I would really need to start seeing previous, in this case, higher lows to be broken to start thinking that a correction has ended. Again, in the bigger picture, I'm viewing this move to the upside as corrective in nature. But to be dead honest with you, something probably else is going on here at the moment. We're getting this three-wave moves, decline, three-wave moves, decline, three-wave moves. Are we going to get another one right now? Who knows? Again, this is why the worksheet that you guys are going to hopefully have available very soon will be of great use to you guys, because I don't just give my bias and stick to one side. Also look at levels, in some cases overnight highs, lows, or whatever the case might be, previous candles highs and lows, and then if price were to break them, have bullish and bearish scenarios. So you can play any side of the market. Obviously the markets always do what they want to do, so you can't, in my case, I can't go and say, yeah, I'm just bullish and sticking with that. Obviously, like I said, the market's always right, and so many times, you know, you got to submit to what the market does and have a game plan for both sides. And this is the case where price already now almost reaching projected range high at 80.65. So I'm going to do a bit more of a long-term analysis on crude oil potentially on Wednesday for you guys. Just going to show you in a bigger picture that this has been a pretty strong move all the way from what's at 73 to the current 80, about $7 range. That in bigger picture, this is just a little blimp, to be honest. Crude oil still, in my opinion, in a bear market. We're potentially going to see some lower prices soon. But again, I'll have to show you what I've been looking at on the bigger picture, i.e. maybe a daily time frame or a weekly time frame. Maybe stick a little bit of a long-term sort of game plan with you guys there. Again, obviously, always going to look at the projected ranges and R1 or the pivot points as well. But yeah, like I said, all these live sessions will definitely start making more sense when we have the newsletter ready for you guys as well. All right, so I wanted to give Tony a little bit more time today. Again, we'll recap all of this on Wednesday and on Thursdays again around about the same time. So guys, do try to attend that again. But yeah, Tony's back again today. It's nice having him back again. Show us his interesting levels. Really love his analysis as well. So yeah, back to you, Nate. If there's any questions, I'll ask them a little bit later, but let's have Tony take over here and show us his stuff.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Richard, as always, for the excellent analysis. And guys, if you have any questions, we will make some room for some Q&A before we wrap here today. So hold on to those if you have anything for Richard. And right now, we're going to pass the reins over to Tony Edwards of Trader Smart. So if you joined us at all during last week's sessions, Tony joined us on several of these sessions, shared a few trade setups, shared his software, as well as an exclusive trial. So we're really excited to have him back. I'll just give you the really quick and dirty, the Cliff's Notes here. Tony's based out of Seattle. He's been interested in trading basically, you know, since a kid, and really was doubly intrigued in 1987 at the age of 14 by the big market crash. Then grew up with a father who is a very respected and noticed psychologist. So he's just been immersed in all this sort of stuff for many, many years. He traded the YM for many years until COVID in 2020, and he's been seeing sustained success in the ES. So we wanted to bring him here in front of you guys today to share some of these setups and share what he's working on. So Tony, without further ado, I'm just going to let you come in, take the reins here, and you'll take us out to the end of the session, at which point I'll jump back in. We'll make sure we don't have any Q&A, and also that we have that special offer link available. So, sir, without further ado, the stage is yours.
Awesome, Nate. Thanks for that introduction.
Absolutely.
And Richard, thank you for that presentation. So good to see some of you same guys back, and welcome to the new people at Profits at Noon. So real quickly, I'm just going to go over a brief overview of what I do, and then we will look at some chart setups from INDEMNIFY with the software that I provide for today. Then we'll get right into the trade setup. Today, we're going to look at the brother-in-law move, and any questions along the way, go ahead and put them in the chat. I'm happy to take questions as we go, or we can wait till the end. I'll let Nate decide on that. And so let's just get into it. So on this screen, so first of all, like Nate said, I've been a futures trader since 2002. I started trading the YM when that contract came out. Traded the ES just a little bit before that, but really moved right into YM in 2002 when that product was launched, and traded that along with some gold and oil and euro, US dollar, the 6E, up until March of 2020 when we had COVID. And that's when the spreads in YM got extremely wide. And I finally went over to the dark side and started trading ES. And I have not looked back. I've been trading ES ever since. So every day I provide analysis for myself. It started out just making it for myself and for my own personal trading. And then I got requests to share my analysis, and that kind of morphed into TS Trade Plan. So there's 6 main components of the plan. And so there's the numbers, which are these right here. This is just expected areas of support and resistance. There is the contract notes, which is if there's something specific for the day that we want to be aware of. I will put a note in the trade plan in the contract notes section. There is the macro technical view, where we take a look at the bigger picture of what's going on. If you have an idea of what's taking place on a longer time frame, it's easier to dial down and make a decision as to what to do on a smaller time frame. Then we have the execution target zones. These are the 3 areas on each side of the market where I'm targeting my long trades to. So I'm targeting my long trades to the short zones. I'm targeting my short trades to the long zones. And I'm also looking at taking initial executions short against the short zones and long against the long zones. We have the line in the sand, which is as this new session starts. So when the Globex session starts, this line will be the decider of the immediate direction. So if we're going to, if price is above the line in the sand, the price is likely going to want to test up into the range short. If it's trading below line in the sand and can sustain below, it's going to probably likely want to test down into range long. Then we have the MTS numbers. M just stands for macro. So these are the areas of macro significance for bigger time frame traders. I expect they will be active at these areas. And that pretty much covers the plan. So let's take a look at today's ES chart. So So when we started Profits at Noon, when I first came on Wednesday, this was the day on Wednesday of last week. This is kind of what the plan looks like when it's visually represented on your platform, on your trading charts. And price had come up and tested range short, and then was getting this break below the day's line in the sand on Wednesday. And we were trying to push down, and we kept finding buyers right above the prior week's low, which was at 39.47 something. I can't remember exactly what it was. So in line with this 39.4575 TS number. We closed that session against the line in the sand. The expectation, like I had mentioned in that Profits at Noon presentation, was that we were likely going to want to come in and test into this buy zone here, this range short or range long buy zone, which had been sitting at this area for a few days prior to this session. I came back on Thursday, and we had found buyers at range long, and we're kind of pushing up, and the expectation was that if we could sustain below the line in the sand, and especially below this lower range short, that we would potentially want to come down and test into this zone and then this zone. But if price was able to push up above the line in the sand and over the day's range short and sustain above it, then there's really, kind of like an open door back to the 40.54 area. And, you know, as you can see, we came in on, pushed up into the 39.94 half MTS number on Thursday to close the day, had this little retrace, open Friday, and kind of tried to stay below the line in the sand, but immediately got this push up right against the European Open that took us into the MTS number. We checked the MTS number from above, pushed into Friday's range short, found sellers, but then couldn't get back under this 39.9775 TS number just above the MTS number, and got the push up over range short. And then it was kind of just like the squeeze was on. You know, we came and pushed up, so pushed into it, back down, over it, kind of consolidation, may push again, and then came down, and buyers started to support here at range short, and that just sent a squeeze into the close on Friday, where it's just kind of like this underlying bid situation. Again, same thing here, pushed over highest odds short, pushed down into it, and then buyers start defending it with this bid, and here's how we closed the session on Friday. So then for this session, starting Globex Open, here's the written plan. The note was that if we are going to find sellers, there's an opportunity to do it early this week. So coming into Sunday session, you can see this new line here inside this area, this 40.6475 to 40.5475 extreme short zone that didn't change. The zone didn't change going from Friday to Monday. However, there we have this new line right in the middle at 40.6175. So this is a significant area coming into this session. You can see that we, you know, gapped down a little bit on Globex Open, and then pushed up right into that 40.6175 line. And then that's where sellers stepped in, taking us down to 40.44. And then that was all they could muster. Not even a new overnight low, back into that same area. And again, here buyers are defending now the bottom of this zone. We push above, and now we're just flagging right below today's highest odds short. And you know, that takes us into here we are now. So any questions about that now that we want to cover, or should I just go straight into the trade setup?
Oh, had to hit a few buttons there. Looks like we're good to barrel forward. And guys, remember, if you have any questions, feel free to pop them here in the chat, and we will be sure to address those before we wrap up today. So yeah, go right ahead, Tony.
Cool. All right, let's just hop into it. And if we have time, I'm happy to flip that ES screen to other markets. We can take a look at RTY or NQ or CL, oil, gold, Euro, US dollar, whatever you guys want to look at if there's time. Let's get into today's setup, which is the brother-in-law move. So futures trading, risk disclosure involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. You could definitely lose more of your initial risk capital trading futures. Risk capital is defined as money that you can lose without jeopardizing your own financial security or lifestyle. Of course, only risk capital should be used when trading, and only if you have sufficient risk capital should you consider trading. As always, past performance is not indicative of future results. So we're going to look at 7 setups. We've already looked at 4 of them. We've covered the zone fade, consolidation breakout, consolidation pullback continuation, the impulse pullback continuation, and today we're going to look at setup number 5, the brother-in-law move. If you guys missed any of these, I'd encourage you to go back and watch the previous Profits at Noon starting from last Wednesday. So I'm going to repeat this again. If you've been here at Profits at Noon, you're going to hear me say this again in a different way. If not, you go back and watch them, you'll hear me say it again. I can't stress enough how important this concept is, that market context is always key in determining what we're going to do. So before I start thinking about taking any trade setup, long or short, my goal when I come in the morning to trade, and I'm only trading usually the US cash open session until the European close, is to establish what the market is trying to do and what is likely to play out. Once I have that context, then I can start thinking about individual trade setups. Without that context, it just invalidates the trade setups as a standalone. Just not to say that they won't work, just to say that if you trade setups without context, you're trading in the middle of nowhere, and as a long-term strategy, that's not going to be a successful path to take. So what do I mean by market context? if you've been here before, then you're going to understand that I'm trying to determine, do we have a bullish bias, neutral bias, or a bearish bias, and what are the various biases on different time frames. So higher, lower, intermediate, and then right down to my execution chart, which is a 128 tick chart across every instrument that I trade. The other part that goes into context is there anything coming out that we know that's coming out, like an FOMC announcement or some economic report, that could immediately change the bias or the context that's developing. So when I come in the morning, I take a quick look at my chart and I just look and I see where is price trading in relation to the execution target zones. If I come in and price has been able to push above range short, then that's an indication that we have a bullish bias, because buyers have been able to push price above the area that I expected sellers to step in and defend. So that in turn makes the bias somewhat bullish. Same is true for if we're trading below range long. Sellers have been able to push price below range long. It's an indication of a short side bias, because sellers or buyers were unable to defend the area that I had expected them to defend. Another thing I do is I'll just look back at price action, usually starting at Globex open. I'll go back farther if I need to and just follow the price. Price is always telling a story, and what has it done? So I'm just looking at what price has done and then bringing it myself to the current moment in time where price is ticking new ticks. And from that view, I'll make a determination of what it's likely trying to do next. And I do this again for multiple time frames, narrowing down into my smallest time frame, which is my execution chart. So the caveat to establishing market context is, once you have this great market context that you're super convinced about, at any time that can change, and how that changes is by an outside force, another market participant, usually a much larger one, stepping in and doing something, that can just completely change the bias. So that can be like a surprise rate cut. It could be a fund that it needs to, that's getting liquidated, or another participant that needs to put in a bunch of orders, or an earthquake, in the CME building, or whatever. Like, anything can happen at any time. And that is my #1 trading rule. I have this printed on my wall. Anything can happen at any time. And the only thing that we can do to defend against this is to always be managing risk on every trade. So manage risk on your trades. So all of these examples, all of these setups, I just pulled mostly from my media feed on Twitter. I think I took some from the blog. And you're welcome to Google Trader Smart's blog. There's a ton more examples, like a ton on the site in the services page, probably like 300 plus. So if you want to see more examples, they're definitely out there. So the first trade we looked at was the zone fade. And that's just simply fading one of the zones, or it could be a zone that you create on your own. We talked about pitfalls, then we looked at the consolidation breakout. We looked at the consolidation pullback. We looked at the impulse pullback continuation. And that brings us to today's setup, which is the BIL move. The BIL stands for brother-in-law. So the brother-in-law move is similar to a double bottom or double top, except that it requires a slightly higher high on the top and a slightly lower low on the bottom. So usually you want to see less volume on the higher high or the higher low. It's called the brother-in-law because what happens is price will come down and make a low, and then buyers will step in, and then it looks like things are going to go, and then we'll come make a lower low, which now it's enticing sellers, but that lower low is the low where their brother-in-law gets in the trade, and then the price moves in the actual direction it wants to go, which is the direction that it found on the first low, back up. So let's look at a few examples. So here is oil from July of 2021. Again, just go through context. So price opens, globex open. We come into range short, sellers defend, range short again, and then sellers defend. They're able to take us under this swing low right here on this last defense. We push down, they push back up into this swing low area, into this consolidation, and then we just start making lower lows. We come into pit open right here, and price pushes straight down through the line of the sand, almost to range long, and then we get this consolidation against the line of the sand. We get this lower low here. This is your brother-in-law move, this lower low, less volume, buyer at an area where we're expecting buyers to defend, and price pushes up. So the brother-in-law move requires a slightly lower low on the downside, slightly higher high on the upside, usually less volume, doesn't have to be, and then price goes in the direction that it's expected to go. So here's this old chart here. Oh, when was this from? Way back, 2013. I think I pulled this one from the site. So context, here's this oil again. Here was the globex reopen. We pushed down. This was actually before I had the indicator, so I was manually plotting these zones on my chart by myself, just for my own trading. Price pushes into range long, buyers defend. We push back up over the MTS number. We blow through range short here into highest odds short, and then sellers step in, sellers step in, sellers step in, and now we get this higher high right into the top of highest odds short. Less volume than on this high, and this is the move where this is the brother-in-law move. So slightly higher high, sellers defend, one last check of range short, and then we come in and close cash session right at 93.98. Here's the S. So context, globex open, we push up, push down, just gaming around the 1628.75. You guys remember when the ES was trading at 1628? It's been a while. Push up into range short, sellers defend, push back under this number, and then we're just targeting and move into range long. So price comes down, range long, buyers are defending, single digit number, 1618, buyers are defending it, and then we get this lower low, the brother-in-law move, and then the actual push back up. Same thing here, YM, globex open, trading against the line in the sand. Price makes an attempt to push down right around the European Open. Price pushes up, new high, into range short. Sellers are defending, just a single digit number here. Down towards the line of the sand, one last push up. Sellers defend again, cash session opens. We get this move under the line of the sand into a slightly lower low, one last push up, consolidation against the line of the sand, and then this impulsive move down. It almost tests into range long, consolidation. Brother-in-law move into range long, push back out, taking this high, move back into consolidation, and then price extends in the direction that it wants to go. Here's 6E from 2021. So range short had been sitting in this area for 3 days, just likely wanting to be tested. It's just 3-day chart. So the line in the sand is right. Oops. Line in the sand is right here. Price opened against the line of the sand, and we're just gaming out against the line of the sand this whole time. Then we get this push up on the end of the 25th towards range short. Line in the sand shifts, range long shifts, and then we get this move up. We get this push directly into range short again, just a single digit number. Small pullback, brother-in-law move into the number just above it, and then sellers take over to the line of the sand. One last attempt higher into this consolidation, and then flushing these lows and lows down towards range long. So slightly higher high, actual direction of the trade. I think that's the last one for today. So finished a little bit early, which is good. We can take some questions. We can look at some charts.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Tony. Yeah, we've got a couple minutes here, guys. We usually shoot for around the 45-minute mark. So we'll let you steer the rest of this session if you're still here with us. If you have any questions, any specific charts you'd like to see. And then, yeah, Tony and I do want to share his special offer link with you too. So maybe while we wait for some questions, yeah, you can show that off. I'll drop that in the chat right now. And Tony, if you want to just tell them a little bit about it, what to expect.
Cool. So yeah, so I've created a special offer for Ninjacator customers, and I'll just run through it real quick. So you're going to get, it's a 2-week trial. You're going to get access to every instrument. So ES, YM, NQ, RTY, CL, and GC. You are going to get, and that normally runs $347 a month. You're going to get the 2-week trial to that for $97. You're going to have access to the desktop app and the mobile site. The desktop app is a program that will run on your desktop. The mobile site you can access from your Android, your iPhone, iPad, and your PC as well, Mac, and that will give you access to the written analysis. Then you're going to get access to the indicator. You can have your choice of whatever platform you're using. Most people are using NinjaTrader 8, but if you're using TradeStation or Sierra or Multicharts, eSignal, those are supported as well. The lifetime license for the indicator is normally $397, or if you are one of those traders that have multiple platforms, all platform license is $597. That's a lifetime license that just enables you to automatically pull up the analysis, the written analysis from the trade plan, and visually represented on your charts. You can also lease that for $97 a month if you don't want to purchase the lifetime license. With this trial, I'm going to give you free access to this indicator. So for the life of your subscription, the trial to all markets is $97. Actually, I think we found out last time that it's actually $99. It's a typo, it's $2 more.
Sure.
I never changed that link, I don't think, but you know, happy to refund $2 if you want me to, no big deal. and so just hit this link. It'll take you to a PayPal checkout. Just go through that. I will get you set up right away. It's not automatic, so I need to see the thing come in, and I will get you set up. It will rebill it $347 a month. So if you want to take the all trial and then you decide that you want to trade, you know, only ES, continue with ES, that's fine. Just email me. I will still keep your TS Trade Plan Indicator license active for the life of that subscription. So, you know, you're saving $97 a month or $400 or $600. And again, you're getting access to all markets for $99 versus $347 a month. So
Perfect.
yeah, that is the offer, and you're welcome to check it out.
Yeah, fantastic. And you heard it here, guys. This is exclusive to the Ninjacators audience, exclusive to those of you joining us in these Profits at Noon sessions. So Tony has knocked a lot of barriers out of your way to be able to jump in and really try this virtually risk-free for a very small fee up front. And again, he is waiving those indicator licensing fees, and he is giving you all of those markets. Every market he covers is in this trial. So you get a chance to get in, get settled, see what you like. And Tony is very responsive directly to his members. So, you know, if there's any period where you say, hey, I wanted this, or I want to swap this out, or maybe I only need these markets, he's more than happy to work with you. So we really encourage you to hit that link, check it out. And Tony, it looks like James did have a question for you. And James says, if I want the indicator on the NJ platform, what is the cost? Only for the NinjaTrader platform, sorry.
Got it. So yeah, so let me be clear that the indicator, so the cost for that is $397 for the lifetime license for the indicator for NinjaTrader. But just, James, let me be clear that the indicator itself only allows you to automatically plot the analysis from the written plan. So this is what the written plan looks like right here. If you just purchase the indicator without, so the indicator requires you to have a subscription to one of the instruments. The indicator is not an automatic thing that plots the analysis. The analysis is manually done by me for my own trading every session. So before the next session starts, I manually go through and create the analysis. It's not something that's automated, if that makes sense. So the indicator will just allow you to visually plot the analysis on your chart. The indicator by itself will not do anything. Does that make sense? Cool.
Yep, that looks like it clears it up. So just to recap that, guys, again, the indicator is what facilitates all of this analysis to display onto your charts. This is all done by Tony himself, and this is all stuff he does for his daily trading. So this isn't merely just speculative ideas. This is stuff that Tony is following through and executing himself. So you're literally trading alongside him with this package. So please let us know if you have any other questions here. We are going to wrap in just a minute. But we do have, a little time if anybody has any other questions, or if you wanted to see Tony pull up a specific chart really quick, we can do that. And if not, we'll give you guys and gals a minute to pop a question if you have one. If not, we will be bringing Tony back for another session at least. I don't know if it'll be this week, so join me in wishing Tony a happy early birthday, because he is the birthday boy later this week. So happy birthday, Tony. We hope to see you again soon. If not this week, then next week we will be reconnecting with him. So Matthew says, passes along a happy birthday. Thank you, Matthew.
Yeah, thanks, Matthew. Thank you, Nate.
Eugene
That's
as well.
awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
happy birthday, Tony. Enjoy your golf.
Yeah. Thanks, Richard. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so we'll have to make it. And you guys, in the audience here, share with us if it's your birthday. We'll just make this a thing. Maybe we'll do the songs, song and dance. Do like kind of at the restaurant where you're just dreading, they're coming to your table circling like sharks. Don't wish me happy birthday. Very cool. I realize my camera hasn't been on, so I apologize, guys. I'll pop that back on. Although I see my green screen is acting a little funky. So let's see if a quick, and that
There we
fixed
go.
it. So guys, you saw it here first. If you ever, just turn green, just one click will fix that. That's probably the key takeaway here today. All jokes aside, we are going to go ahead and wrap this session up in a minute here, guys. Looks like we don't have any other questions come through. Oh, actually, Joseph does have a follow-up for us very quickly here. Tony, do you still get the lifetime license if you only want one or two instruments?
Yeah, absolutely. So I will make this lifetime license available for the life of the subscription. So if you take the all trial, or if you just know ahead of time right now that you don't need the all trial, you only want to trade ES and CL, that's fine. Go ahead and to the site, sign up for ES and CL. That just looks like this. So just click single market, do it twice, email me, say we're on Profits at Noon. You want to have access to whatever those two markets are. I will automatically, I will enable your platform license, and you will have access to that platform license for the life of the subscription. No big deal. Of course, I will do that for you. Yes.
Perfect. Awesome. Joseph says, awesome. Thank you. And I will reiterate that sentiment. Very awesome. Thank you so much, Tony, for today's session, the prior sessions. Again, want to encourage you guys to go onto our YouTube channel. Any of our sessions, the last few have featured Tony. So if you want to grab any of those replays, we encourage you to do that. And also, I will just go ahead and drop Tony's link one more time in the chat here. Very much encouraging you to check this out. And again, we will have Tony back soon. Richard and I will be back on Wednesday to resume these sessions. We have a special featured guest of our own on Wednesday. Our very own Craig Hill will be joining us for that session. So for those of you who know Craig, be sure not to miss that. And then, of course, Richard will have updates on all of our levels to lock, and hopefully some news on the newsletter that will be accompanying these sessions. So as we wind down here, as always, I will make a little space for Richard, as well as our featured guest, to send their parting blessings, as well as possibly some parting wisdom.
Not too much from my side, guys. Yeah, we'll be back on Wednesday, like Nathan said. I see already getting a pullback from that zone. Very cool. Tony sort of had the same sort of area. We're expecting resistance to step in on the ES. It's always cool to see someone else do the analysis. Really cool if you got different sort of analysis techniques all pointing to similar sort of things. So pretty cool to see that. Tony, thanks for joining us again today. And yeah, we'll can't wait having you back again. Enjoy your birthday in the meanwhile.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks, Richard. Yeah, you had said something earlier that I just kind of want to reiterate in case anyone missed it. And I think you said something like, we're not trying to impose our will on the market. What we want to do is submit to what the market does. And that's why it's important to have a game plan for each side of the market, because our expectation, you know, while we establish context, it may not play out. And usually if our context is not playing out, that will set up a trade in the other direction. So, you know, we need to submit to what the market does. The market is always right. And it helps to have a plan for both sides. That's kind of what the trade plan does, is it gives you an objective view of how to trade in each direction. And then again, lastly, I would just say, like I've said, each session, you know, anything can happen at any time. So always be managing your risk.
Absolutely.
Perfect. You heard it here first, guys and gals. If we don't have a plan, we are planning to fail. So thank you so much again for joining us for Profits at Noon. Thank you, Tony. We'll see you again soon. And then Richard and I will see you again on Wednesday. So be sure to come back on Wednesday at noon Eastern. And our very own Craig Hill will be here with a special presentation after the live analysis. So in the meantime, everybody have a great week and we'll see you soon. So bye-bye.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Take care. Have a good one. See you on Wednesday. Bye-bye.
Take care, guys. Have a good week.
Cheers, Danny.